doing something different tonight. I guess also what I did last week, watching one of the political conventions happening in the U.S. for the major party. This time it is the Republicans. Let me see if I can fix this. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and I'll be playing a little Dead by Daylight because, boy, this is going to be boring. But first, let's make it a little bigger. Let's listen to it a little bit.
Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia,
Florida, Georgia, Guam,
Hawaii,
Idaho, Illinois, Indiana,
Iowa,
Kansas,
Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine,
Massachusetts,
Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire,
New Jersey,
New Mexico, New York,
North Carolina,
North Dakota,
the Northern Mariana Islands,
Ohio,
Oklahoma,
Oregon, Pennsylvania,
Puerto Rico,
Rhode Island,
South Carolina,
South Dakota, Tennessee,
United States Virgin Islands,
Utah,
Vermont,
Virginia, Washington, West Virginia,
Wisconsin,
Wyoming. Are excited to nominate
Donald J. Trump,
and Vice President Mike Pence.
Oh, they did this earlier, apparently.
For all you've done.
That's interesting.
To make America.
So they nominated him earlier when we couldn't see because they knew it wouldn't be as interesting live. They probably pre-recorded it and they're like, oh, this isn't as good as the DNC one. There's nobody says calamari in it. So that would make sense.
4 more years. 4 more years.
I don't know where that part's coming from.
We will make America great again. And ladies and gentlemen of this country, the best is yet to come.
Damn.
I didn't back down from my promises, and I kept every single one.
This conversation had made hope possible.
We want this nation to continue.
That's my favorite one so far.
To be the beacon of hope.
Many people say they don't leave America. If Donald Trump was elected, they're all still here. They're not going anywhere because we are in the land of the free.
We will never, ever sign bad trade deals. America first again. America first.
America's great USMCA trade deal. This is a big one for the United States of America.
I thought I could predict when this one was gonna end. That was a very long fart. Welcome, Pierce, to my stream. What's up? Hope you're having a good day.
In the eyes of my grandchildren, I wanted them to know that their papa was not silent.
We will rescue kids from failing schools by helping their parents send them to a safe school of their choice.
Just missed Matt Gates fart out of his mouth. Sad about that.
Our depleted military, the countries that we protect,
Mr. President, stop farting.
He saved me, thanks to him.
That was a fart remix, apparently.
To me, he's giving people hope. What he's doing for the poor people, what he's doing for everybody. We are going to appoint justices of the United States Supreme Court who will uphold our laws
Mr. Fat Bastard.
and Constitution.
I
supporting law enforcement is so important for keeping America great.
As long as I'm president,
Damn, this is long and pointless. That this more would be happening.
It's time to deliver a victory for the American people. We are going to start winning again.
All right, let's play a little bit while we watch.
Promises made, promises kept.
Promises made. Called Promises Made, Promises.
My name is Amy Ford. I've been a registered nurse for 17 years. I'm from the small town of Williamson, West Virginia, where I've lived my entire life, the daughter of a nurse and a coal miner. Even though I was the youngest of 4 children, I was always
coal
somewhat
miner,
of a caretaker.
more like
It
miner.
came natural for me. So it felt right to follow in my mother's footsteps and become a nurse. And this March, when COVID-19 sent our country into crisis, I knew I had to help any way that I could. I deployed to New York in April and then to San Antonio, Texas, working as a COVID relief nurse in both states. As I contended with the challenges of treating our patients
about to say
who
COVID
had
is
their
fake.
worlds turned upside down, I noticed a positive change in our healthcare system. President Trump recognized the threat this virus presented for all Americans early on and made rapid policy changes. And as a result, telehealth services are now accessible to more than 71 million Americans, including 35 million children.
Hold on, I need to pray for a second.
Prior to COVID, telehealth was not covered or reimbursed under Medicare, Medicaid, or CHIP.
Seriously? She's
This
making a
left
fucking
our most
telehealth
vulnerable
point?
populations with no other choice but to have an in-person office visit with their physicians.
There also wasn't a
increasing their
pandemic
risk of
before.
exposure to COVID-19 exponentially. The expansion of telehealth services has also resulted in the integration of video visits between patients and their families.
Gee, I wonder why it was
allowing
expanded.
loved ones to have
What could have
contact
caused
and
that?
visualization,
Was it that
as well
Trump
as a
suddenly
better
liked
understanding of
funding
care.
healthcare?
Telehealth has been essential during this pandemic. I don't want the media taking my personal story and twisting it, so let me be clear. As a healthcare professional, I can tell you without hesitation, Donald Trump's quick action and leadership saved thousands of lives during COVID-19. And the benefits of that response extend far beyond coronavirus.
Oh boy.
Telehealth will continue to aid many that are just unable to find transportation or a way to the doctor for regular checkups. This is especially true in rural America. I live in a town of about 2,000 people. We do not have buses, trains, trolleys, or Ubers available to us. In addition, the unavailability of services can also hinder treatment for many. So increased access to telehealth for millions of Americans has truly been life-saving, and we have President Trump to thank.
From the very beginning, Democrats, the media, and the World Health Organization got coronavirus wrong. The World Health Organization said authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission.
Yeah, it's
Most people should not be terribly
the
concerned
fact
about
that Trump invented the how do you pronounce that, Yeah, like the fact that he invented that actually saved a lot of lives, and he did it with only 2, and it was amazing.
One leader took decisive action to save lives. President Donald Trump, banning travel from China and coronavirus epicenters. Biden charged xenophobia, but President Trump was right, signing the CARES Act, providing immediate relief to American families, workers, and businesses, declaring a national emergency, tapping into $42 billion in existing emergency funding, quickly getting crucial personal protective equipment to the states, signing the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, ensuring that American families
He said
and businesses
families
impacted
need
by
to
the
first
virus
deal with it
receive the strong
themselves.
support
So that
they
was the
need, launching Operation Warp Speed to fast-track a vaccine in record time.
Warp
He
speed,
said everything
really.
that I could have hoped for. Promise made, promise kept.
He is ready, willing, and able to help. He has been responsive. He's done a lot of good things. What the federal government did was a federal accomplishment.
us in our hour
That's
of
a good
need.
one.
You all literally helping us in a big way. We're at the edge. This is life and death stuff, and we're forever thankful for that.
Soon, we will emerge safer, stronger, and greater than ever.
Oh, here we go.
Dr.
Finally, a
Gene
speech.
An oral and maxillofacial surgeon and chancellor of a large academic medical and research center in Louisiana. I feel uniquely positioned to share how President Trump's decisive leadership
What did he say he
led
was a
to
doctor of?
rapid and efficient response to the coronavirus pandemic. I know this as a health professional and as someone who has recovered from COVID himself. The COVID-19 pandemic exploded into our great nation with an intensity unparalleled in history.
You didn't say it.
But our medical investigation and drug development systems were not designed for a pandemic. The devastating effects of the coronavirus demanded immediate changes at the regulatory level. A prompt response led by President Trump cleared away the red tape that usually makes drug approvals a long and drawn-out process. By harnessing the resources of the federal government and the private sector, President Trump's Operation Warp Speed is accelerating the testing, supply, development, and distribution of therapeutics, diagnostics, and very shortly, effective vaccines to counter COVID-19. Let me give you 3 clear examples of how President Trump's leadership removed regulatory barriers so COVID patients could have faster access to effective therapies and diagnostics. First, on February 26, 2 phase 3 clinical trials studying remdesivir were initiated.
Oh no.
Just 2 months later,
Are we about to talk about
the FDA
hydrochloroquine?
approved remdesivir for emergency use to treat COVID-19. Normally, this is a 3 to 5 year process. The amazing speed with which this happened in a safe but efficient manner is unheard of. Second, the FDA granted expanded access to COVID-19 convalescent plasma. Within 24 hours of this approval, we were administering convalescent plasma and remdesivir to a critically ill patient. A former
Weren't there recent
Army Ranger
studies about
and
being a
physician.
little iffy about
Had it not
the
been for the
plasma
rapid deployment
shit?
of these medicines,
I don't know about
this
this.
patient, who is my colleague and friend, would have surely died. And third, at the end of July, I developed a fever and cough. I reached out to our testing team and received one of the Abbott rapid tests. Yet another tool quickly approved by this administration. Within 15 minutes, my test came back positive, and within 4 hours, I was receiving my remdesivir doses, followed by an infusion of convalescent plasma. As a physician, I've seen firsthand how these breakthroughs have saved countless lives. As a patient, I've benefited from the expedited therapies made possible by the swift action of this administration. President Trump truly moved mountains to save lives, and he deserves credit. Thank you, President Trump, for providing timely access to critical diagnostics and therapeutics during this pandemic. Thank you, Mr. President, for your strong leadership in these challenging times.
Well, that was stupid. That was just a guy thanking Trump for doing nothing. That wasn't anything about a platform. But I guess they said they weren't into a platform. But I still feel like I'm gonna hear it at some point.
Rallied together to defeat the invisible enemy and save the lives of their fellow citizens. Today, our hearts overflow.
I'm not even sure what he was a doctor of, but then they said surgeon, but it seemed like they said something else, like he was like a nose guy, a nose surgeon or something.
Strong and safe. When crisis came, millions of everyday Americans rose to the challenge. In their actions, we see true greatness of the American character. We always find a way to victory. History will remember and celebrate the heroes of 2020 for as long as our great American flag waves over the land that we love. To every frontline worker,
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're even a prestigious surgeon, because you can still sell snake oil and be a bullshitter. Like, look at Ben Carson. who's like a world-class, everybody knows he's like a genius brain surgeon, but like,
we can call it many different
then
things.
look at he's selling like supplements for like vitamin companies that are incredibly sketchy.
These are
it's
great people. Doctors,
very
nurses,
clear that he knows
firemen,
that he's being a bullshitter.
policemen. We want to thank you all.
Also, there's like a video of him talking about
we want to thank you
how
and
he thinks
all of
that
the millions of people
pyramids
that you
are filled
represent.
with
Thank you
brain
all very
silos
much.
or something.
Great job. Thank you.
Very fucking weird.
Thank you all very much. So tell me a little about your stories. How about we'll start with you?
What's happening
I'm a postal worker.
What is this?
Delivered to the senior community during COVID-19.
Good. And we're taking
What is
good
this
care of our
meeting?
postal
It's like a
workers.
cocktail hour
Well, I
for
can
very
tell you,
sad people.
Believe me, we're not getting rid of our postal workers, you know? They'd like to sort of put that out there. If anyone
Why are
does,
they all
it's the
standing
Democrats,
like
not the
this?
Republicans. I want to thank you very much and thank everybody.
Why wouldn't
in
he
that
have
whole
them
beautiful
sit or
post office
something?
system. We appreciate it. How about you?
I'm a trucker.
Good.
Own a small business in Ohio.
This is so awkward.
Haul and steel mostly. You know, some of our customers actually made hospital beds with some of the material.
That's fantastic. Well,
Yeah, I think
congratulations. I love
they
the truckers.
single
You know, they're on my
person
side.
of color in the group.
I think all of them,
So good.
frankly. I think pretty
They
much
found
all of
somebody
them.
who could
How about
stand
you?
to be next to Trump.
At the post office as well.
What do you do exactly?
Clean up everybody's mess and everybody's germs and all that.
Can I tell you, that world, that profession will never be out of business. You know
Yeah,
that,
for
right?
sure.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. And how about you?
I'm a registered nurse, President Trump. I work at a New Jersey hospital. It's called Virtual Willingboro Hospital.
Right.
I also represent an organization of professional nurses. It's called the National Association of Catholic Nurses.
Very good.
But I want to tell you, sir, as a nursing supervisor, I am so in awe of your leadership. Honestly, I know many people have said often interesting things, but it takes a true leader to be able to ignore all that stuff and do what is right and not be offended by all the
Apparently
words
Jerry
being
Falwell
said.
Jr. has
And
denied
you really do
resigning,
show
which is
that positive
hilarious.
spirit to us. And as nurses,
After
I
everybody
appreciate
reported
but
that he
just as an
resigned from that
individual,
Christian
I'm
university.
grateful for that.
Well, I'm for the nurses, I'm for the
Or
doctors, I'm
getting
for
cucked
everybody.
or
We
something.
just have to make this China virus go away, and it's happening. Please, go ahead.
I'm also a nurse. I represent Genesis Healthcare, which is a skilled nursing facility.
let's widen this bad
company.
boy up.
I want to thank you and your administration for all the supplies and support and
Right.
funding that you've given the skilled nursing units. Without that, we couldn't do as well as we have done. I spent some time in New Jersey. I live in West Virginia, went to New Jersey and did some work there. And we finally started to see things change and turn around.
I appreciate what you said because we have delivered billions of dollars of equipment that governors were supposed to give, and in many cases, they didn't get. So the federal government had to help them, and all of the people that did this incredible work. They
He
never
sounds
got
like
credit
he's so
for it.
put
But
upon
you
that he
understand where
had
it
to
came
help
from.
them, like
Thank
he's
you very much.
pissed,
Thank you both.
like he had
Really
anything,
nice.
any
Please, go ahead.
physical labor
I'm a
involved
police
in
officer in
doing
Inglewood,
it,
Colorado.
and it was
And
exhausting
I
to
contracted
him.
COVID in late March and recovered.
That means we don't have to be afraid of you at all. Once you're recovered, you know, we have the whole thing with plasma happening. That means your blood is very valuable.
He
You
say
know that,
plasma?
right? Thank you very much. Great.
Chat, can
Please.
you tell me if he just said plasma?
Department out in California.
Great.
And I also contracted
Did he
COVID.
pronounce it plasma?
End of March.
Am I
Recovered
crazy?
From that also.
How long was your problem?
I was sick about 10 days, really
Your
bad. I
problem?
got everything besides a cough. But
Holy
recovered.
shit,
I was
he
off
is
work
so
for a month
bad
and a
at
half,
interacting with people.
And I work in our local county jails.
Did they do anything specifically to help you recover?
They gave me Z-Packs medication.
Yeah, plasma's
syrup.
happening.
Okay, and I won't even ask you about the hydroxychloroquine because
I mean, like in some way, he must like think that plasma is like some new thing that we've invented.
I took the Z-Pack.
I don't think he
also,
realizes
and
that
zinc.
plasma is like
I want to thank
just
you
your
all very
blood.
much. It's an honor to have you in the White House. You're fantastic people, and the people
Like
you
he definitely
represent,
doesn't
you
know what
represent
plasma is.
An incredible group of people, and we love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good evening. I'm Congressman Jim Jordan, representing the 4th District of Ohio.
Whoa, Jim, slow down. I know you just want to brag about your pedophilia, but come on. Oh, Jim.
And preserve the values, principles, and institutions that make America great. Don't believe me? Look at what's happening in American cities. Cities all run by Democrats. Crime, violence, and mob
Remember
rule.
this guy.
Democrats refuse to denounce the mob.
Basically,
and their response to the chaos
helped cover up for
defund the
pedophiles
police,
at Ohio
defund
State
Border Patrol,
on the wrestling
and
team.
defund our military.
Sexual
and while they're
assault.
doing all this,
That's
they're also
this
trying
guy.
to take away your
That's another
guns.
great guy they got here.
Look at the positions they've taken in the past few months. Democrats won't let you go to church.
Jim
but they'll
Gordon.
let you protest. Democrats won't let you go to work. But they'll let you riot. And Democrats won't let you go to school. But they'll let you go loot. President Trump has fought against each of their crazy ideas. He's taken on the swamp, all of the swamp.
Democrats won't let you go to school.
The press and the Never-Trumpers. And when you take on the swamp, the swamp fights back. They tried the Russia hoax, the Mueller investigation, and the fake impeachment. But in spite of this unbelievable opposition,
according to Q, Mueller was on Trump's side the whole time.
Taxes cut,
Not a big deal,
regulations reduced.
honestly. When you think about it, Mueller was cool.
Lowest unemployment in 50 years, out of the Iran deal, embassy in Jerusalem, hostages home from North Korea, a new USMCA agreement, and of course he's building the wall and rebuilding our economy as we speak. I love the president's intensity and his willingness to fight every day in Washington for our families. But what I also appreciate about the president is something most Americans never get to see, how much he truly cares about people. Our family has seen it. 2 years ago, our nephew Eli was killed in a car accident. He lived a mile up the road from us, grew up wrestling and training with our boys, was a high school state champion, varsity athlete for the University of Wisconsin. It was a Saturday morning, 3 days after the accident. I walked to the car to head up to Eli's parents' home when the president called. We talked about a few issues, and then he asked how the family was doing. I said, they're doing okay, Mr. President, but it's tough. The president said, yeah, losing a loved one is always difficult, and it's really tough when they're so young. I then said, Mr. President, I'm actually walking into their house right now. Obviously, they don't know that I'm talking to you, but if you'd be willing to say hello to Eli's dad, you'd make a terrible day a little less terrible. What's his name? The president asked. I walked through the door and said, Todd, the president wants to talk to you. For the next 5 minutes, family and friends sat in complete silence as the president of the United States took time to talk to a dad who was hurting.
That's
the president I've gotten to know the last 4 years. The president who shared private moments like this with soldiers, victims of
this is what every president does.
And people who've had businesses destroyed by the mob.
If anything,
that's the individual who's made America great again.
It's less interesting because he's doing it for somebody who is in a position of very high power in America.
To help him get reelected.
This isn't like he's doing it to like some poor
God bless our country.
Kid who joined the army and calling his family.
Actor, a singer, or a politician. I'm Herschel Walker. Most of you know me as a football player, but I'm also a father, a man of faith, and a very good judge of character.
I just want to play these songs instead of listening to the speech. I'm just
talking about a deep personal friendship. I watched him as an owner of a professional football team. Right after he bought the team, he set out to learn. He learned about the history of the team, the players, the coaches, every detail. Then he used what he learned to make the team better.
Oh shit, is my game actually starting?
He can be in the middle of a big meeting, but if one of the kids was on the phone, he dropped everything to take the call. He taught me that the family should be your top priority. I watch him treat janitors, security guards, and waiters the same way he treated VIP.
5133 just subscribed.
Because he knew they were. He understands that they are the people who make this country run. They clean, they cook, they build, they drive, they deliver.
This whole thing really is just going to be like a bunch of random people saying.
Remember their names.
I mean, I guess maybe
that stuck with me.
DNC was like stupid. It was the DNC was more like here's why Trump sucks.
With my family.
This is more like
at the last minute. Donald said he'd like to join.
Here's
us.
why
so
Donald is the God Emperor. Here's why he is the God Emperor.
That was something to
Here's
see.
why Warhammer 40K is based on Trump's life.
What a caring, loving father he is. It hurt my soul to hear the terrible name that people call Donald. The worst one is racist.
Racist is the worst word they've called him.
37-year friendship with a racist.
People call him a crying little bitch. I don't know what he's.
Growing up in the Deep South, I've seen racism up close. I know what it is, and it isn't Donald Trump. Just because someone loves and respects the flag, our national anthem, and our country, doesn't mean they don't care about social justice. I care about all those things. So does Donald Trump. He shows how much he cares about social justice in the black community through his actions. And his action speaks louder than stickers or slogans on a jersey. He keeps right on fighting to improve the lives of black Americans and all Americans. He worked night and day. He never stops. He leaves nothing on the field. Some people don't like his style, the way he knocks down obstacles that get in the way of his goals. People on the opposing team didn't like when I ran over them either, but that's how you get the job done. I pray every night that God gives him more time. Give him 4 more years. He has accomplished so much almost all by himself on a constant attack. But there's still more work to be done.
Still
If
more
you love
work
America
to be
and
done.
want to make it better, Donald Trump is your president. He's my president, and I'm blessed to call him friend.
Good evening. I'm Natalie Hart, a formerly forgotten American from California. In the classic Jimmy Stewart film, It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey is given a great gift, the chance to see what the world would be like without him. Tonight, Mr. President, we'd like to give you that same gift. Because without you, we'd all be living in Pottersville, sold out to a crooked Mr., or I should say, a crooked Mrs. Potter, with no hope of escape except death itself. I should know, because I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for you. About 5 years ago, I was the victim of a notoriously deadly medical error. I survived, but only to be diagnosed with a rare and terminal bone cancer. You know, the Democrats love to talk about healthcare being a human right. But a right to what? Well, I'll tell you. To them, it's a right to marijuana, opioids, and
A right to
die
marijuana.
with dignity. A politically correct way of saying assisted suicide. I was told I was a burden to my family and to my country, and that by choosing to die early, I'd actually be saving the lives of others by preserving resources
told you
for them, rather than wasting them on a lost cause
Nobody
like
told you
myself.
that, I don't think.
And when I failed the chemotherapies that were on the market, no one wanted me in their clinical trials. I'd make them look bad. They didn't give me the right to try experimental treatments,
I mean, that's
Mr.
private.
President.
That's actually
You did.
problems with private
Without
medicine.
you,
That has nothing to do
I
with
died waiting for them to
public.
be approved. Now with the coronavirus, everyone knows what that feels like to be waiting for a cure. But we've only been waiting a few months.
She
Just
sounds
imagine
happy
what 2020
about
would have
that.
looked like, fighting for your life without Donald Trump fighting for it too. In January, there would have been no China travel ban. Millions would have died. Millions more would have been infected. For there'd be no record levels of testing, no right to try treatments, no fast track for a vaccine, nor Operation Warp Speed ready to deliver it. And without Donald Trump as our patient advocate for the past 4 years, well, the opioid epidemic would have stolen even more lives from even more families. Kidney patients would have no future except dying on wait lists, for there'd be no initiative to increase donations. There'd still be no accountability at the VA. And our brave veterans would
mean, this is
still
just
be
not
suffering
true.
long wait times with no choice nor access to faster care. Insulin and other drug prices would have continued to rise, while a record number of generic drugs would still be stuck in the pipeline. There'd be no price transparency. We wouldn't have health plans up to 60% cheaper than Obamacare, and we'd still be stuck with that infamous individual mandate. And God forbid what the next 4 years would look like. For in Joe Biden's America, China would control our drug production. We'd be one step closer to
What?
government
China
run
already
healthcare.
controls a big
We
chunk of
wouldn't
it, and
just
we're
be
not going to
unable
take it
keep our
back.
doctors. We'd be lucky if we could see any doctor. And even then, some of us would be denied care. For in socialized medicine, you don't beat the odds, you become the odds. And I would lose my right to try. Just like Charlie Gard, that terminally ill British
Oh,
baby
Lord.
whose government-run healthcare system decided
We're
it was
talking
too
about the
expensive
baby Charlie
and
now.
too
Holy
cruel
shit.
to keep him alive. You see, Mr. President, you've done so much more than your promises made and promises kept. For numbers,
These guys couldn't even come up with an
only tell part of the
American
story.
example
We,
of a problem
the
in our
rest of
healthcare
it.
system.
Facts with faces of Americans who would still be forgotten if you
When it comes to public
and our
healthcare.
favorite First Lady hadn't given up your own wonderful life so we could have the chance at one. George Bailey's
Yeah, it looks
father
like they're
was
having
right.
a really good life.
All you can take with you is that which you've given away. And Mr. President, that makes you the richest man in the world, for you have used your strength to make America strong again. Sacrificed the life you built to make America proud again. And you risked everything to make America safe again. It's a wonderful life. You made America great again. And on November 3rd, we are going to keep America great.
Yeah, one, we have no idea who these people are. They seem like they're made up people that they're having speak, right? Am I crazy? Where is Donald Trump Jr. like I was promised?
Hello, America. My name is Vernon Jones, and I'm a state representative from the great state of Georgia.
I feel like I've seen him on the news before.
I'm a man of color, and
he's
I'm
like
a
a
lifelong
Democrat Trump
too.
supporter.
You may be wondering, why is a lifelong Democrat speaking at the Republican National Convention?
Yeah,
And
bro,
that's a
this is
fair
content
question.
right here. Oh,
And here's
hold
your
on,
answer.
let me do this.
The Democratic Party does not want white people to leave their mental plantation. We've been forced to be there for decades and generations. But I have news for Joe Biden. We are free. We are free people with free minds. And I'm part of a large and growing segment of the black community who are independent thinkers. And we believe that Donald Trump is the president that America needs to lead us forward. This is no time for sleeping in the basement. Joe Biden has had 47 years to produce results. But he
said he's doing the thing that Ben Carson and Herman Cain used to do, where they talk about how the Democrats are basically the exact same as the Democrats from the 1800s, but now they do it a mental plantation, but it like assumes that black people are dumb and fall for that. So I feel like there's like a triple level of racism that they seem to be portraying onto black people that vote Democrat, that they're too stupid to understand any better, and it's very insulting. Like, I would be very insulted if people thought that shit about all Jews or something, me being a Jew.
My parents, Robin and Rufus Jones, built with their own hands a 4-room cinder-block home with no indoor plumbing. They had very limited education, but they instilled in us a strong work ethic that drove me from those tobacco fields of North Carolina to those hallowed halls of the Georgia General Assembly. My parents taught me if I believed in God, worked hard, and treated every person fairly, there was no limit to what we could achieve. I attended North Carolina Central University, an historical black college. For generations, HBCUs have been the incubators that develop black scholars in math and science and religion, engineering, and politics.
Yeah.
They have been important springboards for the black success.
Okay.
But Democrats haven't treated them that way. When President Trump took office, he changed everything. He delivered historic funding to HBCUs, and he guaranteed it for 10 years, something that's never happened in the history of this country.
I mean, they're private universities, but it is good to get them funding. And I actually think that they have gotten funding. They just maybe didn't get that much.
Leaders. That's right. Donald Trump did that. He's also supported school choice to ensure that no child, no matter their race or zip code, is left behind. Every child should have access to a quality education.
I gotta change
Education
now.
is just the beginning. The president also built the most inclusive economy ever, with record low unemployment for African Americans and record high participation in the workforce. He put opportunity zones in the Trump tax bill that would drive investment into our communities for decades to come. He put the interests of American workers, and especially black workers, first. That's right, Donald Trump did that. He delivered historic criminal justice reform. He ended once and for all the policy of incarceration of black people, which has decimated our communities, caused by no other than Joe Biden.
Or you're talking about you.
Democrats wouldn't do it. Obama didn't want to do it, and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris definitely wouldn't do it.
Well, welcome to the chat. Hope you're having a good, chill night.
He's also working every day to make our communities safer. As a former executive of DeKalb County, Georgia,
I directed one of the largest public safety departments in the Southeast.
Did you just fart, Mo? Or did I just
tragic
fart?
shootings on both sides. Officers killing citizens, and citizens killing officers in the line of duty.
Oh, okay, cool.
Police officers are fellow citizens. They live in our country. They have families too. They live in our communities. Unfortunately, Democrats
I'm probably gonna want to strangle myself after I spend like hours every night watching this convention, but I'm committed to it. I produce good content for this stream.
Isn't it ironic that Democrat politicians have personal security to protect them? So why don't they forego their security and replace them with social workers, especially since
what are we
that's
doing
what
here?
they want for you and me? Our police need more funding, not
Why did
less.
we do this?
For frequent psychological examinations, for non-lethal remote restraint technology, and for more de-escalation and use of force training. These are the common sense solutions that President Trump supports. True, sincere police reform. That's right. Donald Trump did that too.
Police reform? Well, that sounds awesome. We can all get behind
Jobs, safety.
We're into it.
Security. On issue
Maybe make it
after
sound a little
issue,
more sexy than
and
police
in just
reform.
a single term, he destroyed these negative forces that have victimized the black community for decades. He gave us the opportunity to rise. Now, you know, when I made the public announcement of my support for President Trump, all hell broke loose. I was threatened, called an embarrassment, and asked to resign by my own party.
I don't know what that does.
That's consistent with the Democratic Party and how they view independent thinking black men and women. But I'm here to tell you that black voices are becoming more woke and louder than ever. The Democratic Party has become infected with a pandemic of intolerance, bigotry, socialism, anti-law enforcement bias.
We're on there now.
And
Oh,
a
hell yeah.
dangerous tolerance for people who attack others, destroy their property, and terrorize our own communities. That's what this election is all about.
I've got the key.
And that's why right now, more than ever before, America needs Donald Trump in the Oval Office for another 4 years. God bless you, and vote Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
In 2018, London walked into Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, and changed my life forever. My name is Andrew Pollack. His name isn't worth saying. One of the seniors walking in the hallways that day was my beautiful daughter, Meadow. She was just months away from graduating and beginning a new life. We were so proud of the woman she had become. But in the hallway on that third floor, the gunman saw Meadow and shot her down the hallway, hitting her 4 times. After she was shot and on the floor, she crawled over to another student, a freshman girl.
Is this like a school shooting that I'm familiar
She
with?
draped her body over her, and then the scumbag gunman shot my daughter at point-blank range 5 more times, killing Meadow and the girl she was shielding. She had a whole life ahead of her, and in that life, she could have done anything and been anything. So many moments that I waited so long for were taken from me. I didn't get to drop her off at college. I didn't get to walk her down the aisle. But every moment was taken from her, and for what? I never wanted this to become a political spectacle, but it did. I never wanted to meet the president like this, but I did. I was invited to the White House. The truth is, I had just buried my daughter that week. I really wasn't interested in public events like a tour or a photo op.
I was interested in answers and solutions. So if the president wanted to meet me personally, I said I'd go. They said, of course, that was his plan.
Yeah, of course.
At the White House, my family and I sat with the president in the Oval Office and told him about Meadow. I told him what we knew. I told him that his administration needed to take a closer look at what went wrong and why. And I got to see who President Trump really is. He's a good man and a great listener, and he cuts through the BS. Then the president did what he said he would do. He took action. He formed a school safety commission that issued dozens of recommendations to make schools safer. But I'll bet you never heard about that. Instead, the media turned my daughter's murder into a coordinated attack on President Trump, Republicans, and our Second Amendment. In fact, when President Trump asked me and other parents of children that were murdered in school shootings to join him as he announced the commission's findings, the media's first question wasn't about protecting kids. Shockingly, they asked about the government shutdown.
Oh, damn. Government shutdown.
President Trump turned to me, appalled, and said, Andy, can you believe these people? We're trying to talk about school safety, and this is what they do. But I could believe it. After my daughter's murder, the media didn't seem interested in the facts. So I found them myself. I learned that gun control laws didn't fail my daughter. People did. The gunman had threatened to kill his classmates before. He had threatened to rape them. He had threatened to shoot up the school. Every red flag you could imagine. But the school didn't just miss these red flags. They knowingly ignored them.
They knowingly ignored them. I feel like, I don't know where he's coming from with that, but I mean, definitely possible. I don't really see what Trump's ever done to fix that.
This policy, which really just blames teachers for students' failures, puts kids and teachers at risk and makes shootings more likely. But it was billed as a pioneering approach to discipline and safety. I was just fine with the old approach to discipline and safety. It was called discipline and safety. But
seriously?
The Obama Biden administration took Parkland's
fucking
bad
idiot.
policies and
It was
forced
called
them into
discipline and
schools
safety.
across America. When President Trump rescinded Obama's guidance on restorative justice policies, he put an end to that. And that meant the world to me. It's hard to tell how much Mr. Biden understands about what happened at Parkland. Mr. Biden has campaigned on bringing back restorative justice as part of his unity platform with Bernie Sanders, and has pledged to implement it in school districts across America. But he doesn't even seem to know when this shooting happened. He said that he was vice president when it happened, but he wasn't.
Hi.
Mr. Biden may not know when my daughter was murdered, but I do. February 14, 2018. Mr. Biden may not know that these policies make shootings more likely, but I do.
They don't.
Mr.
What policies?
Biden may not know who was vice president that day, but I do. It wasn't Joe Biden. It was Mike Pence. Thank God. And I know who the president was, too.
What the fuck is he talking about?
It wasn't Barack Obama. It was President Donald J. Trump, and he took action.
Right. Obama
I truly
was
believe
president
the
for 8
safety
years
of our
before
kids
that.
depends on whether this man is reelected. I hope you'll join me in helping to make that happen. Mr. President, myself and millions of Americans appreciate you and love you. God bless America, and God bless our president, Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
A curfew now in effect for the city of St. Louis.
Protests in St. Louis turned violent.
Fucking idiots.
Mark McCloskey says he and his family have been threatened with violence.
Under Missouri law, you have a right to defend your home and the lives of your family.
A search warrant has been executed at the home of Mark and Patricia McCloskey.
Husband and wife attorneys charged with pointing guns at protesters.
They were simply trying to protect their home.
Good evening, America. We are Mark and Patty McCloskey. We're speaking to you tonight from St. Louis, Missouri, where just weeks ago you may have seen us defending our home.
Oh yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'll probably keep streaming it, even if I don't have an audience.
America is such a great country that not only do you have a right to own a gun and use it to defend yourself, but thousands of Americans will offer you free advice on how to use it. At least that's what we experienced. What you saw happen to us could just as easily happen to any of you who are watching from quiet neighborhoods around our country. And that's what we want to speak to you about tonight.
That's exactly right. Whether it's the defunding of police, ending cash bail so criminals can be released back out on the streets the same day to riot again, or encouraging anarchy and chaos on our streets.
Yeah, St. Louis gun people. I can't believe that shit.
The Democrats
is really
no
insane.
longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals, but rather protecting criminals from honest citizens. Not a single person in the out-of-control mob you saw at our house was charged with a crime.
Oh, my God.
But you know who was? We were.
Yeah.
They've actually charged us with felonies for daring to defend our home. On top of that, consider this. The Marxist liberal activist leading the mob to our neighborhood stood outside our home with a bullhorn screaming, "You can't stop the revolution." Just weeks later, that same Marxist activist won the Democrat nomination to hold a seat in the U.S. House of Representatives.
Hell yeah.
In the city of St. Louis, that's the same as winning the general election. That Marxist revolutionary is now going to be the congresswoman from the 1st District of Missouri.
So,
these radicals are not
I feel like he
content
doesn't
with
know what a
marching in the
Marxist
streets.
is.
They want to walk the halls of Congress. They want to take over. They want power. This is Joe Biden's party. These are the people who will be in charge of your future and the future of your children.
They're not satisfied with spreading the chaos and violence into our communities. They want to abolish the suburbs.
I'm gonna fart so hard. Oh my God.
Home zoning. This
Nailed
force-free
it.
zoning would bring crime, lawlessness, and low-quality apartments into now thriving suburban neighborhoods. President Trump smartly ended this government overreach, but Joe Biden wants to bring it back. These are the policies that are coming to a neighborhood near you. So make no mistake, no matter where you live, your family will not be safe in the radical Democrats' America.
At this moment in history, if you stand up for yourself and for the values our country was founded on, the mob, spurred on by their allies in the media, will try to destroy you. You've seen us on your TV screens and Twitter feeds. You know that we're not the kind of people who back down. Thankfully, neither is Donald Trump. President Trump will defend the God-given right of every American to protect their homes and their families. But more than that, Trump's vision for America is a country where you have an opportunity to work hard and build the life you dream of with a job you love.
You have an
with
opportunity
your children
to
being
die
educated in great schools.
trying to get
in
to work.
a community where your family can play in the backyard without fear, worship in a church without shame, and express your beliefs without retribution. Trump brought us the greatest economy.
Like, I'm not a big Biden fan, but I'm pretty sure he's a Christian.
The
I don't
Democrats
understand
have brought us nothing but
Christians
destruction.
calling other Christians not Christian.
When we don't have basic safety and security in our communities, we'll never be free to build a brighter future for ourselves, for our children, or for our country. That's what's at stake in this election, and that's why we must re-elect Donald Trump. God bless you, God bless the President, and God bless
the United States.
Good evening, America. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle. I speak to
Oh,
you
my
tonight
girl
as a
Kim.
mother, a former prosecutor, a Latina, and a proud American.
She was actually
And
married
yes, a proud
to the
supporter
current governor of
President
California,
Donald J. Trump.
Newsom.
Why?
Married or
Because
dating?
he is the president.
But she used to
who
be like
delivers
a
for
liberal
America. He built the greatest
coattail
economy
rider.
the world has
And now
ever
she's
known
dating
for
Don
the
Jr. Like, she
strivers,
also was on
the
Fox for a
working
while, I
class
think.
and middle class.
And now, yeah, and then
Commander-in-Chief,
that's
he
how she met
always puts
Don Jr. and married
America first.
him, or is getting
President
married to him.
Trump is
It's
the
really funny
law and
to think
order
that she went
president.
from like dating
Now,
like
presidential leadership
liberal
is not
power
guaranteed.
brokers to
It is
like
a choice.
really going hard for the
Biden,
right-wing
Harris,
power
and the rest
brokers.
of the socialists will fundamentally change this nation. They want
But she
open
basically just
borders,
dates, like,
closed
politicians and,
schools,
like, high-up businessmen.
dangerous amnesty, and will selfishly send your jobs back to China while they get rich. They will defund, dismantle, and destroy America's law enforcement. When you are in
Oh.
trouble
And they
we
said the Dem
police
thing was dark.
don't
Like, she's really
count
fucking
on
painting a
the
dark picture.
Democrats. As a first-generation American, I know how dangerous their socialist agenda is. My mother, Mercedes, was a special education teacher from Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. My father, also an immigrant, came to this nation in pursuit of the American dream. Now, I consider it my duty to fight to protect that dream. Rioters must not be allowed to destroy our cities. Human sex drug traffickers should not be allowed to cross our border. The same socialist policies which destroyed places like Cuba and Venezuela must not take root in our cities and our schools. If you want to see the socialist Biden-Harris future for our country, just take a look at California. It is a place of immense wealth, immeasurable innovation, and immaculate environment. And the Democrats turned it into a land of discarded heroin needles in parks, riots in streets, and blackouts in homes. In President Trump's America, we light things up. We don't dim them down. We build things up. We don't burn them down. We kneel in prayer, and we stand for our flag.
It's up here, isn't it? It's somewhere up here.
This election is a battle for the soul of America.
There it is.
Your choice is clear.
Chat, you didn't help me with that at all.
Do you support the cancel culture, the cosmopolitan elites of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Joe Biden, who blame America first? Do you think America is to blame? Or do you believe in American greatness? Believe in yourself, in President Trump, in individual and personal responsibility. They want to destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty, your freedom. They want to control what you see and think and believe so that they can control how you live. They want to enslave you to the weak, dependent, liberal, victim ideology to the point that you will not recognize this country or yourself. From the beginning, when President Trump spoke about making America great again, he was speaking about that shining city on a hill and restoring the beacon of light that once shined so bright. His promise was to put America first, and he has. When President Trump cut middle-class taxes, putting tens of thousands of dollars back in the pockets of working-class Americans, that beacon began to flicker once again. When President Trump commanded the defeat of ISIS, took out al-Baghdadi and Soleimani, and paved the way for peace in the Middle East, that beacon started to glow. When he negotiated historic trade deals with Canada, Mexico, Japan, and China, bringing back thousands of manufacturing jobs to America, that beacon shined bright once again for the world to see. America, it's all on the line. President Trump believes in you. He emancipates and lifts you up to live your American dream. You are capable, you are qualified, you are powerful, and you have the ability to choose your life and determine your destiny. Don't let the Democrats take you for granted. Don't let them step on you. Don't let them destroy your families, your lives, and your future. Don't let them kill future generations because they told you and brainwashed you and fed you lies that you weren't good enough. Like my parents, you can achieve your American dream. You can be that shining example to the world. Manifest and be the change in this country that you dream, that you hope, that you believe in. Stand for an American president who is fearless, who believes in you, and who loves this country and will fight for her. President Trump is the leader who will rebuild the promise of America and ensure that every citizen can realize their American dream. Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet
that was really horrible. Holy shit.
I'm Congressman Steve Scalise. We're facing some tough challenges in America. This isn't the first time we've been here.
Steve Scalise.
I've worked with Donald Trump over the last few years, and if there's one constant theme to how he approaches problems, it's how much he cares about the hardworking people that Washington left behind. I've seen this firsthand. After I was shot on a baseball field by a leftist gunman, first responders rushed me to a hospital where I battled for my life. That same night, Donald Trump came to the hospital along with First Lady Melania Trump. They consoled my wife, Jennifer. They were there for my family in my darkest hours. Donald Trump would call to check on me throughout the following weeks, just to see how I was doing. That's the kind of person he is. That's the side of Donald Trump that the media will never show you. Look, there's a lot at stake. This is an election between a party that wants to burn down the foundations of our country to the ground and a party that wants to rebuild and protect our great nation. The left wants to defund the police. This is personal to me. I wouldn't be here without the bravery and heroism of the men and women in law enforcement who saved my life. President Trump stands with those brave men and women. Joe Biden has embraced the left's insane mission to defund them. There won't be an America to leave to our children and grandchildren without those brave law enforcement officers and first responders. Joe Biden's made a career in Washington for 47 years, promising things he's never delivered. In just 3 short years, President Trump has delivered huge wins for American families. While Joe Biden made hollow promises when he chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee, Donald Trump took action and delivered criminal justice reform. Joe Biden claims to care about the working man, but millions of good manufacturing jobs were shipped overseas during the Obama-Biden years to countries like China.
And also, the same thing happened during this shit, so I don't really see how this is different. Trump did the same thing.
Trump pledged to give the forgotten men and women of America a
that shit isn't coming back, and it has to do with these big trade deals that were done that aren't being broken.
Over 50 years, women creating small businesses at record pace. Wages rising, the fastest, by the way, for lowest income levels. What can Joe Biden say to that? What has Joe Biden done in his 47 years in Washington that can compare to that? President Trump has delivered for the hardworking people of this great nation. It's going to take that kind of bold leadership to get us out of this COVID crisis.
The fuck was that?
After President Trump saved lives by shutting down flights from China and Europe, he's now focusing the full weight of the government on a revolutionary plan to cure this virus by cutting red tape and empowering scientists to create a vaccine. This is visionary leadership in action at a time when we can't afford another 47 years of hollow promises. America's been through tough times before. Who better to lead us out of these times than the president who already built the strongest economy our country has ever seen? Donald Trump did it before. Donald Trump will deliver for us again. God bless you, and God bless these United States of America.
I'm Sean Parnell, and it is an honor to be here. In 2006, the Army sent me to Afghanistan as a young platoon leader, placed in command of Americans from every corner of our planet. Our platoon reflected the diversity of our nation, in race, creed, and religion. Despite those differences, we were bound together as brothers. On June 10, 2006, our platoon
turn up
was
disc.
Just after
How do I
dawn.
turn up disc?
Outnumbered
You're the only one who had talks real slowly on there.
Machine gun fire as hundreds of Taliban charged us from 3 sides. We had 24 men that day. Wave after wave of Taliban advanced up the hill. I was wounded 3 times in the fighting.
I can't.
Nearly
My mic
all of
isn't
platoon was
triggering.
wounded within the first minute.
I'm gonna have to change
kept
it.
coming.
That's why.
We fought to our last rounds of ammunition, and when it was over, we held the hill. In the face of death, I saw ordinary Americans become heroes. In our darkest hour, when our survival depended on each other, My men and I
Yo,
learned
can you hear me
an
now?
important lesson.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just might, for some reason sometimes the output gets reset and it sets to default, which doesn't go anywhere.
United, we were unbeatable.
Alright, so
485
we can't
days
watch
of
your
combat,
stream,
I came home
so we don't get the
eager to
delay
enjoy
and we don't hear you
freedoms I
twice,
risked
which
my
means
life
we
to
can't hear the
defend.
farts, but it was good
But I
content.
watched with alarm as the
Thank
party
you.
of my grandfather,
Those farts are
a
good.
lifelong Union
I'm playing them now. I wish I could play them over the disc.
I watched
Legitimately, when I was first watching it and you first started doing the farts, I was like laughing very hard.
I think Pierce said the similar thing.
Democrats once stood for hard-working, law-abiding Americans who displayed our flag.
It's not sus at all.
This new Democrat Party considers these people
The stuff that these guys are warning us about.
to guns and Bibles.
They will destroy America. They will make it seem like you're farting.
They had the couple that pointed guns at protesters in, like, I don't know where the fuck that was, Georgia or something.
I look across the aisle and I do not see a party that wants you to pursue your dreams. I see a Democrat Party that wants to dictate what
Did they just talk about how Joe Biden is going to rape you?
I don't see a party that wants you to be free.
I mean, they're still talking about
I see a party that wants to chain you to conformity and will destroy anyone
like
they
Joe
deem a
Biden
heretic.
will let black people move into the
I swore
suburbs,
an oath to
therefore
defend my
ruining
country
the
and
only
its
thing that made the
Constitution.
suburbs awesome.
President Trump has sworn to do the same. That's why he's advanced freedom, despite savage
Joe
political
Biden
attacks
has never
to
voted
overcome
for
the
slavery and
agenda
would
of
never
the
allow it
left.
to come back.
President Trump has unleashed the economic might of this nation like no other president in our history. He triggered the rising
Well,
tide
I'm
of
waiting
working
for one of
families,
the dudes at
brought us
RNC to
energy
basically
independence,
talk about how
reclaimed
slavery
jobs
is a
from
great
overseas
jobs
that,
program.
Democrats said would never return. He has fiercely defended the besieged First and Second Amendments. That is just a start. With 4 more years, imagine what we can achieve by simply working with
It's
our
really
president.
funny how obvious also it is that there is no
believe our
platform
president's vision
because
for the
nobody
future.
is talking about anything
I
they've
stand
actually
here tonight
accomplished.
calling on all Americans
They're just
to
saying,
join
like,
us. It doesn't matter what you
Trump
look
has
like,
done for
who
the
you
First
love,
and Second
how you
Amendment.
worship your
We
gender
gotta
or
keep
your
doing
job.
it.
If you're a traditional Democrat, who's
It's like, what?
become
Well, okay,
disloyal,
what policy
how
that
your
he?
party has
What
become,
bill
then
has been
stand with
passed
us.
that he's talking
You
about
are
that way?
most welcome.
You know,
America needs all her patriots to
there's a
rush to
lot
her
of
defense. My fellow
There's
Americans,
this new
stuff, guys.
There's this new program. I don't know. Obama may have invented it called The Wall, and it's like very bloated. We're gonna fix that.
free to speak the truth.
I mean, it might have fallen over easily in a storm.
Yeah, there might be erosion completely destroying all the ballards that were put in. We'll figure out who did that.
We are idealists and
people on it.
dreamers, lovers of adventure.
I'm pretty sure it was
We're
Black
rugged
Lives
and
Matter.
independent. We don't make excuses. We make the impossible a reality.
Yeah, they're
Think about
basically
it.
just saying
In a century,
socialism and take your guns and
gazing to the stars,
just anything that's
doers
scary.
created the means
Oh my
to
God!
reach
And then the DNC last
This is
week
not
was
the
so
time to stand on
was
the
almost as
sidelines.
bad.
If
Like
you love our country
Elizabeth
as we
Warren
do, as
had
our
black
president does,
BLM
join
spelled in the
chorus of
background in like
patriot
toy
voices
blocks. I don't know
that
if you
will
saw
preserve
that.
this
Yeah, I saw
exceptional
that.
union.
And it's like, oh my fucking
President,
God!
lead the way.
It's
Millions
so
of our
thirsty.
American
It's so
families
thirsty
believe
and sad.
in this path to destiny. Guide us to that horizon. Thank you, and may God bless the United States of America.
I don't even know who this dude is. It's my Donald Trump Jr. coming to speak. We only, everybody knows Chad only comes here for fail sons.
You like me yet, Daddy?
We all, yeah, exactly. Daddy. Well, I mean, that's Kushner. I don't know if Jr. calls him Daddy.
By our character with dignity and respect for all.
But Kushner definitely calls him Daddy.
The belief that all are
Even though he's
created
not his
equal,
daddy.
That lives matter irrespective of
He like, you know,
race,
he just caught on
creed,
from Ivanka,
or
I think.
color. Committed to excelling beyond our dreams. 4 years ago, we faced an historic crossroad.
Oh, here's
Career
Hillary. I'm gonna play more fart
politicians
sounds while they show
promising
videos of
every
her.
election, but delivering emptiness.
Chat, you like the farts?
Chose a different path.
I gotta see the stream.
A man
No!
who's not a politician, a man who cares, a man who
Did my
works
stream go
tirelessly
down for a
you.
second?
I don't know. I'm saying like I can't
Still, politicians spun
hear you
their
twice.
decisions
No, I
for
thought maybe it went down
obstructed
because it said I was
progress,
hosting.
fanning the flames of
I was like, the fuck I am.
We all
Oh, you know
that it
what?
is easy to
That was
criticize.
probably
It
Obama.
takes a true leader
Yeah, thanks, Obama.
to solve problems.
He heard you were trying to do the farts and he was
Just
like,
cause I'm angry that you didn't legalize weed,
Without solutions,
Obama, you gotta fucking come out with your DDoS.
save lives.
I'm just kidding. No, it's Michelle who DDoS's.
Our president is leading the way.
Just kidding, Obama.
Economic recovery.
She does all the work.
She does it all. Yeah. The woman behind the man. Am I right?
Together to overcome challenges.
Am I right?
Stories. America, land of promise.
I was just watching a
land of heroes.
NHK, like the Japanese version of PBS. They produced a documentary about the conspiracy of JFK's shooting. It was really interesting because Japan is very convinced it was the CIA.
I nearly gave up hope.
And I'm like, that's pretty. Me too, Japan.
I was so afraid.
It was the CIA.
I believed I would die here.
American hostages.
We need to talk about that.
Forgotten and wasting away in far-off prisons, wrongfully detained by foreign governments.
We all know it's easy to criticize. It takes a true leader to solve problems.
Starved and left for dead.
Yeah, that's Trump is never criticized.
Donald Trump stepped in.
The three American hostages finally back on U.S. soil after being held captive in North Korea.
We're following some breaking news in Turkey where an American pastor, Andrew Brunson, has been released.
An American jailed in Egypt is back in the U.S. this morning after an intervention by the Trump administration.
A tough and skilled negotiator, President Trump successfully won the release of detainees and prisoners, among the most of any president in American history. While families waited in despair for news of their loved ones, President Trump provided a new spark of hope by bringing our hostages home.
Trump brought those hostages home.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, in typical circumstances, you would think that idiots watching two different messages of America is shit versus America's amazing, don't break it.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, America, I'd rather just believe America is great. That seems easier. But it's like, how can anyone like look at right now in the current situation we're in and be like, yeah, America's probably great.
The problem is that we're not teaching American exceptionalism. So we're not teaching Americans to ignore the problems and just say we're great anyway. We used to teach that.
Diplomacy, negotiation skills, perseverance, faith, the ingredients of hope.
Diplomacy, faith, hope.
No American should ever be left behind. Priority.
It's just like a narrator saying random words right now for like a commercial or something about Trump. Policy, hope. Smarts that smell good.
By various countries. And I'm very pleased to
very clean nails.
Over 50 hostages
Trump embodies
from
all of
22
these
different
things.
countries. We worked very hard on it, Ambassador O'Brien and others. And I will tell you, we're very proud of the job we did. But I'd like to ask maybe Pastor Brunson to say a few words so we can go through and just give us a little history of what happened and how is life treating you.
I was held in Turkey for 2 years, and you took unprecedented steps.
So he had all these different hostages that came out that got home while he was president, now sitting in a circle talking. I don't know why.
28 years, right? They had you there they had you scheduled for a long time.
Well, you all playing something?
To get you back. And I
No, we're just watching the RNC.
Oh, cool.
President
let's chill.
Erdogan was very
Let's fucking chill.
And I know they had you scheduled for a long time, and you were a very innocent person.
I mean, I'm playing a little bit of Dead by Daylight, but
ultimately, after we had a few conversations, he agreed. So
apparently a massive ESO patch. It's taking a long time.
Yeah, I tried to play earlier this morning, and I couldn't. I was gonna stream, and I ended up playing like Gundam because I couldn't get the fucking game to load. It was taking like forever. I guess they added the next episode of the DLC.
Yeah, it looks like it's about a 60 or 70 gig patch that does not download fast from their servers.
Yeah, it's like a brand new vampire dungeon they just added. Only if you have the Greymore DLC though. So it's kind of pointless for us.
Actually, I'm getting a decent speed. I'm getting like up to 30 megs.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but I just didn't want to wait. It took like 30 minutes for me.
got you back.
You got me back, yeah.
We got you all back, and we have some more that we're working on right now to get back that we better do. Please, go ahead.
There's so many good farts on the soundboard.
President, I do, once again, it's an honor to be here, to meet you in person. Basically, what had happened with me is I traveled over to
They're not going to show a single mask in this whole RNC, right? Like, they're just going to have people sitting next to each other talking.
Yeah, I guess not.
You know what I'm talking about.
So far, no masks
You were able to get me out of that prison in record time.
Which isn't a huge problem if it's a small gathering of people, I guess, but if we see a lot of people, I don't know.
Yeah, my name's Josh Holt.
Sure, Herman Cain probably just died because of Obama.
This is definitely like a Donald Trump TV show, though. It's not a convention.
You helped us get out, Senator Hatch.
Everything has just had Trump in it, doing something. Every like part of this.
I remember a lot of people asked me, what was it like meeting President Trump? And I just say, I was blown away. I'd just gotten released after 2 years. Then I'm shaking the hand of the president in the Oval Office. So I don't really remember a whole lot of it.
I like how they're
nice to meet you again, and,
scrolling the contributions across the bottom so people can give money so they can see themselves.
Oh, well, I'm watching the NBC stream, so I don't know about that.
Wanted me to do something about.
Are you watching like Trump's own stream or something?
And
no, I'm watching
YouTube.
YouTube.
A miracle, I think, frankly.
It was.
Because it was a very hostile.
Yeah, I'm on NBCnews.com.
Yeah, that's the one I'm on.
Working so hard with us, but
it's not putting all the contributions at the bottom?
No, it just says Republican National Convention, NBC News Now.
They're great people. Thank you very much.
I think you found
very quickly scrolling.
You might have found like the Republican stream of it, which would probably be the official stream, because the Republicans are putting this on.
India to Nepal, where I've been working for the last 18 years.
But every single news network is also airing this live.
President Trump
The final 2 hours of the night, like they did with the DNC. Because that's where all the big
chat
speeches
is
are.
disabled though on this YouTube stream.
Chat is disabled on this one too. Chat is enabled on the really shitty Pod Save America stream if you want a chat. Crooked Media.
For the last 4 months,
that was the one I was accidentally streaming last week.
Me for 3 to 5 years. The original charge thing was 3 to 5 years, and that was cleared. And then they came up with new charges to do a 7-year term.
Well, India responded very well to my request, so we appreciate that.
And I appreciate everything y'all did.
Thank you all for being with us. We have a few more people we want to get back, and we will get them back, and they'll be back very soon. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Great stories.
And an idea of how we'll be seeing the president used throughout this convention period, in this case, interviewing people who had been released, who had been detained or held hostage overseas. I want to bring in our chief foreign correspondent, Richard Engel, into the conversation. Richard joins us in Belarus. He's been covering the mass protests that have followed that country's disputed election. Richard, part of the conversation we just heard centered on Syria and Iran. Talk about things that have been overshadowed by COVID and the election. Tell us about the president's record in that part of the world and where things stand.
Wait, NBC News is just like started interviewing somebody randomly instead of looking at the speeches.
President Trump is not doing much to support their movement.
We're doing a roundtable right now with Trump and hostages, so they can talk about how great Trump is.
Yeah, they just finished that on my thing, and now the guy was starting to speak, and they cut to like Richard Engel, who's like a foreign correspondent for NBC News.
Trusted by our allies.
The fuck? The fuck, chat?
Try to avoid him.
Chat?
The adversaries think they can.
I don't care about Richard Engel.
And manipulate him, and he's seen as someone who's trying to tear
I want to hear
down
Tim
the
Scott
very
speak.
institutions
Or
that the United States helped create after World War II,
who else?
with attacks on NATO, attacks on climate agreements, and it leads to, in general, a lack of respect for the United States. And that is something President Trump says that under his leadership, the U.S. would be respected more. But a recent opinion poll found that under President Trump, the United States isn't seen as much as a world power as it used to be.
All right, Richard Engel in Belarus tonight. Thanks.
As mentioned, the lineup tonight includes Nikki Haley, who served as UN ambassador during the first 2 years of the Trump administration. And we also would expect
Nikki
to hear
Haley.
from Senator Tim Scott
That sounds
as well.
super boring,
Let's go to Hallie
actually.
Jackson and Donald Trump Jr., by the way. So it's going to be all in the family. And Hallie, you know, it has been very notable so far how many black voices have been included in the RNC presentation so far. Can you talk about the strategy there?
Yeah, including, for example, a young woman who is running, a young black Republican woman running for a House seat in Baltimore, who quoted Shirley Chisholm in the remarks prior to the primetime speech. A state Democratic representative from Georgia, a Democrat, looking to build support in his community for President Trump. And Savannah, this is a theme that we're going to see in several of the speeches tonight, including former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who will talk about her upbringing as a child of immigrants. And of course, Senator Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, who will talk about ways in which he worked with the president on issues like opportunity zones, trying to make the case to Americans that President Trump has worked to lift black Americans out of poverty and into success. Savannah.
All right, Hallie, thank you.
And as we await Nikki Haley and tonight's other speakers, we will take a quick break here, so please stay with us.
This morning across the country, what the new normal for schools will look like.
Many teachers left making tough choices between the job they love and their family.
What am I going to decide? Take care of my children or have a job?
That's an impossible decision.
You're creating a little community school. This is a moment where we can just develop ourselves and develop our community.
Let's turn it over to students. How do they really feel about returning to school?
What I miss is my teachers.
They are resilient.
You're watching NBC News Now. We've got some breaking news.
We actually saw a large convoy of the National Guard come through here.
It's news made for your streaming world. Live weekdays starting at 6 a.m. Eastern.
A surge in coronavirus infection. Developments on several fronts.
The story.
Tonight, the U.S. shattering the record for most COVID cases in a single day.
From every angle.
What's your level of concern that the kids who have been told they're going to be home indefinitely won't be able to catch up?
On the ground.
Do you have faith that this is going to bring about change soon?
And in depth.
Here in Portland, more protests expected tonight.
Do you think that police in this country are under attack?
NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
A country reeling from a pandemic
Damn,
and
we got
racial
commercials
injustice.
now on NBC.
The story changes hourly.
They really just don't want to show
push
anything.
To get children back into school is sinking in among
My stream
families
has
who are
just been
debating
going
the
on.
safety of it. It's
You
the
do.
really? Hour.
Yeah, maybe I should
This is
change.
a situation where the state
Switch to
continues
YouTube.
to struggle
Can you
to
post the
expand
link?
its testing capabilities.
Yeah, why don't you post in that link?
Protesters feel that they need to come out in full force and support their community because they feel like they're not getting
It's
that
not
support
good.
from the Portland
Like,
police.
this is a weird speech.
Another
but
election day coming up against
it's
the backdrop
content.
of how to keep
I want to
voters
put
safe
parts on it.
amid a pandemic.
The moment to truly understand who we are and who we say we are is right here at our feet.
A surge in coronavirus infection. Developments on several fronts.
Look at these
Story.
donations.
Tonight, the U.S. shattering
Yeah, I
the
want to see
record
the
for most
donations too,
COVID
actually.
cases.
Come on, people, can't you donate to me instead?
There's a lot of money, guys.
If I get
Wow.
away,
And it's all in
everything
red,
that I
white, and
have
blue.
today, it would not equal 1% of what I was given when I came to this great country of ours. The gift of freedom. Right now, it is up to us to decide our fate and to choose
Yeah, it's like painful to
freedom
look at the ticker.
over oppression.
Yeah, it is.
President Trump.
It's not. You can't read it because it's clipping.
The forces of
Yeah,
anarchy and
it's flipping
communism.
a lot. There was a $1 one at the bottom, so they actually show anything. We can get our name down there, guys.
Like if they slowed it down, it might be able to render it, but
the
whoever's
rest of
running
the
it is not
system.
watching the stream.
I have no doubt.
That's what it seems like.
What if your name's really
Hand
long?
the country over to those dangerous forces.
What would that? How would that change it?
You and I will decide.
What if your name was Pence?
And here's what I've decided. My decision is very easy.
Yeah, the frame rate on the bottom is pretty
I choose
despicable.
President Trump
I think it's also affecting the actual video.
because I choose
Like the video
America.
ends up being a little choppier at
I choose
times
freedom.
because I think that ticker is fucking with it.
I still hear my dad. There is no other
Yeah,
place
this is
to go.
definitely I think the RNC's
And may the good Lord
YouTube channel.
bless America.
33,000 subscribers.
more left. Many positive about socialism, liking it more than capitalism. Many of the ideas
Oh, socialism is cool now.
considered radical are now mainstream.
Socialism's cool and it's not white.
if implemented, will make Biden the most progressive president since FDR.
The radical
Oh my God,
left has
since
taken over
FDR?
the Democratic Party, and Joe Biden is marching in lockstep with them. Biden and the far left are promising to crush middle-class families with trillions in new taxes.
If you elect me, your taxes are going to be raised, not cut.
Promising amnesty and health care for 11 million illegal immigrants.
Citizenship for 11 million undocumented folks.
Promising to shut down energy exploration, killing jobs, and hurting America's economy.
I guarantee we're going to end fossil fuel.
In Joe Biden's America, the radical left get whatever they want, and you get to pay for it. They've already taken over Joe Biden and the Democratic Party. Don't let them take
Joe
over
Biden's been
America.
indoctrinated by Ilhan Omar. I know that for a fact. She's just that good.
Good evening.
She'll get you.
I'm Nikki Haley, and it's great to be back at the Republican National Convention.
She'll get you.
I'll start with a little story. It's about an American ambassador to the United Nations, and it's about a speech she gave to this convention.
How can they play stuff about Democrats going so left and radical when Biden is the nominee?
Because Ilhan Omar and the gang,
a former vice president
squad,
from a failed administration. That ambassador said, and I quote,
so rescue from a hook.
Democrats always blame America first. The year was 1984. The president was Ronald Reagan.
Billions.
And Ambassador Jeane Kirkpatrick's words are just as true today. Joe Biden and the Democrats are still blaming America first. Donald Trump has always put America first, and he has earned 4 more years as president. It was an honor of a lifetime to serve as the United States ambassador to the United Nations. Now, the UN is not for the faint of heart. It's a place where dictators, murderers, and thieves denounce America.
I like that it's just those 3 people that are taking over Biden. It's not like, it's not Biden's fault. He's just fallen victim to AOC.
With his leadership, we did what Barack Obama and Joe Biden refused to do. We stood up for America, and we stood against our enemies. Obama and Biden let North Korea threaten America. President Trump rejected that weakness, and we passed the toughest sanctions on North Korea
your stream, but I wanna be.
Obama and Biden let Iran get away with murder and literally sent them a plane full of cash. President Trump did the right thing and ripped up the Iran nuclear deal. Obama and Biden led the United Nations to denounce our friend and ally, Israel. President Trump moved our embassy to Jerusalem, and when the UN tried to condemn us, I was proud to cast the American veto. This president has a record of strength and success. The former vice president has a record of weakness and failure. Joe Biden is good for Iran and ISIS, great for communist China, and he's a godsend to everyone who wants America to apologize, abstain, and abandon our values. Donald Trump takes a different approach. He's tough on China, and he took on ISIS and won. And he tells the world what it needs to hear. At home, the president is the clear choice on jobs and the economy. He's moved America forward, while Joe Biden has held America back. When Joe was VP, I was governor of the great state of South Carolina. Manufacturers of all kinds flocked to our state from overseas, creating tens of thousands of American jobs. People were referring to South Carolina as the beast of the Southeast, which I love. Everything we did happened in spite of Joe Biden and his old boss. We cut taxes, they raised them. We slashed red tape, they piled on more mandates. And when we brought in good-paying jobs, Biden and Obama sued us. I fought back, and they gave up. A Biden-Harris administration would be much, much worse. Last time, Joe's back was Obama. This time, It would be Pelosi, Sanders, and the squad. Their vision for America is social, and we know that socialism has failed everywhere. They want to tell Americans how to live and what to think. They want a government takeover of health care. They want to ban fracking and kill millions of jobs. They want massive tax hikes on working families. Joe Biden and the socialist left would be a disaster for our economy. But President Trump is leading a new era of opportunity. Before Communist China gave us the coronavirus, we were breaking economic records left and right. The pandemic has set us back, but not for long. President Trump brought our economy back before, and he will bring it back again. There's one more important area where our president is right. He knows that political correctness and cancel culture are dangerous and just plain wrong. In much of the Democratic Party, it's now fashionable to say that America is racist. That is a lie. America is not a racist country. This is personal for me. I'm the proud daughter of immigrants. They came to America and settled in a small southern town. My father wore a turban. My mother wore a sari. I was a brown girl in a black and white world. We faced discrimination and hardship, but my parents never gave in to grievance and hate.
Want to ban fracking?
Successful business.
You can't ban fracking. I'll ban your face.
30 years at a historically black college.
I can't believe people want to cancel racism.
As their first minority.
What makes us great?
Governor. America is a story that's a work in progress. Now is the time to build
Before
on that
China
progress
gave
and
us
make
the
America even
coronavirus.
freer, fairer, and better for everyone. That's why it's so tragic to see so much of the Democratic Party turning a blind eye towards riots and rage. The American people know we can do better. And of course we value and respect every black life. The black cops who've been shot in the line of duty, they matter.
Political
The black
correctness
small
is
business
just
owners
plain
who watch their
wrong.
life's work go up in flames, they matter. The black kids who've been gunned down on the playground, their lives matter too. And their lives are being ruined and stolen by the violence on our streets. It doesn't have to be like this. It wasn't like this in South Carolina 5 years ago. Our state came face to face with evil. A white supremacist walked into Mother Emanuel Church during Bible study. 12 African Americans pulled up a chair and prayed with him for an hour. Then he began to shoot. After that horrific tragedy, we didn't turn against each other. We came together, black and white, Democrat and Republican. Together we made the hard choices needed to heal and removed a divisive symbol peacefully and respectfully. What happened then should give us hope now. America isn't perfect, but the principles we hold dear are
You hear that? America might not be perfect.
There's one thing I've learned. It's that even on our
These thoughts
worst
aren't like
day,
fitting together.
we are blessed to live in America.
Yeah, but you can't write a real speech anymore because in the time of Trump, like her actual thoughts are just not considered mainstream.
Committed to that noble task. We seek a nation that
She has to
rises
speak
together,
very vaguely.
not falls apart in anarchy and anger. We know that the only way to overcome America's challenges is to embrace America's strengths. We are striving to reach a brighter future where every child goes to a world-class school chosen by their parents, where every family lives in a safe community with good jobs, where every entrepreneur has the freedom to achieve and inspire, where every believer can worship without fear and every life is protected, where every girl and boy, every woman and man of every race and religion has the best shot at the best life. In this election, we must choose the only candidate who has and who will continue delivering on that vision. President Trump and Vice President Pence have my support. and America has our promise.
At this point, I think
We
Nikki
will
Haley's
build
just
on
in
the
it for the
progress
fact
of our
that she can run for president
and unlock the promise of our future.
and try and get Trump voters.
That future starts when the American
That's
people
what I think's happening here. That's very fucking weird. Oh, thank you, Chef Biggie, for the follow. Hope you're having a good day watching the RNC. And I think I might have eaten too many beans or something. I'm farting from Discord. Who can't hear it?
Yeah, sure, great. But I'm honestly just trying to piece together what it is, the statements she's trying to make.
Oh, for me, I just heard farts. Sorry, I don't know.
No, but she was basically saying, like, America's not racist because my parents aren't white.
Yeah.
So we can't turn our backs on riots. What?
Yeah.
And then...
And riots happen because people want to be naughty.
Economic expansion in American history. The lowest unemployment rate.
And I think then she was saying, like, Black Lives Matter shouldn't matter because we need the cops to stop black people from being violent.
She basically said that, like, we need cops to kill black people because all these black people are killing other black people.
The president quickly
that's a great point.
That's basically where she went with that.
Joe Biden
and Chef Biggie for joining the chat. I hope that's not too deep for you, man.
They put
you know,
political
it's having a tough night watching
safety
this.
and security of the American people.
This is not easy to watch, but
Chad,
I'm just trying to understand it.
Yeah, we're trying to translate it for you.
Quickly and ensured
this is a public
got
service.
to hospitals that needed them most. He delivered PPE to our brave frontline workers, and he rallied the mighty American private sector to tackle this new challenge. There's more work
the guy
to
just
do,
called
but there is a light at the end of the
and
tunnel.
E.
Job gains are outpacing
like personal protective and equipment. He seriously just said that.
Left-wing policies
PP and ejaculate.
Recovery cold. He's already talking about.
There's also a
shutting the
thing
country
like
down
earlier.
again.
Pierce was
madness.
on and saw it with me too,
Democrats
where
claim to be for
Trump
workers,
called
but they've spent the entire
plasma,
trying to shoot the tax
like
for millionaires and
AW,
Democrat
SMA,
stations of the
like
COVID
plasma.
relief bill.
Are you guys seeing Donald Trump Jr. speaking now? Because he is awful.
Okay, yeah, I've got to pull it back up. I was quoting him earlier, but now I'm gonna.
If you think about it, Joe Biden's entire
the beard is
economic
getting
platform
so bad.
seems designed to crush the working man and woman. He supported
Put
the
your
worst
hand
trade
down.
deals in the history
He's
of
doing the
planet.
Kamala Harris,
He
Bill
voted for the
Clinton
NAFTA nightmare.
thing.
Down the tubes went our
Classic
auto industry.
politician thing.
He pushed for TPP. Goodbye, manufacturing jobs. Beijing Biden is so weak on China that the
does it look like he's crying?
Recently assessed
it really does.
Like why are his wet eyes so wet?
They know he'll weaken us both economically and on a world stage.
I think he's like on
Biden
Molly or
also wants to
something.
bring in more illegal immigrants to take jobs from American citizens.
He looks
His
awful.
open border policies would drive wages down for Americans.
His like
at a time
eyes are
when
dilated
low-income
and
workers were
they're
getting
like
real
wet.
Wage increases for the first time.
There's
in
like a
modern
tear under his
history.
right eye.
Yeah.
He's pledged to repeal the Trump tax cuts, which were the biggest in our
And he
country.
can't stop his hands.
After 8 years of Obama and Biden's slow growth, Trump
convinced him to talk because he's finally said that he loved him.
And especially to the middle
He
class.
cried about it.
Biden has promised to take that money back out of your pocket and keep it in the swamp. That makes sense, though, considering Joe Biden is basically the Loch Ness Monster of the swamp. For the past half-century, he's been lurking around in there. He sticks his head up every now and then to run for president. Then he disappears and doesn't do much in between. So if you're looking for hope, look to the man who did what the failed Obama-Biden administration never could do and built the greatest economy our country has ever seen.
Oh
and
boy.
President Trump
He's
will do
seriously
it again.
talking about the economy.
We will be
right
stronger
now.
than ever because when we put our mind to it,
That's amazing.
there is no obstacle that
That's
America
ballsy.
can't surmount. Except there's a difference this time. In the past, both parties believed in the goodness of America.
That's ballsy.
We agreed on where we wanted to go. We just disagreed on how to get there. This time, the other party is attacking the very principles on which our nation was founded. Freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the rule of law. Thomas Jefferson famously said, "I have sworn upon the altar of God eternal hostility against every form of tyranny over the mind of man.
Oh, apparently you can get a Discord bot for these sounds I'm
There was nothing more
playing.
important than protecting our God-given right to think for ourselves. Now, the left, they're trying to cancel all of those founders. They don't seem to understand this important principle. In order to improve in the future, we must learn from our past, not erase it. So we're not going to tear down monuments and forget the people who built our great nation. Instead, we will learn from our past so we don't repeat any mistakes. And we will work tirelessly to improve the lives of all Americans. Joe Biden and the radical left are now coming for our freedom of speech. They want to bully us into submission. If they get their way, it will no longer be the silent majority. It will be the silenced majority. This has to stop.
Silence.
Freedom of expression used to be a liberal value, at least before the radical left took over. Now the Republican Party is the home of free speech, the place where anyone from any background can speak their mind. And may the best ideas win.
The whiter the better, actually. There's a hierarchy.
You're not allowed to go to
So
church,
don't get tan.
but mass chaos in the streets gets a pass. It's almost like this election is shaping up to be church, work, and school versus rioting, looting, and vandalism. Or, in the words of Biden and the Democrats, peaceful protesting. Anarchists have been flooding our streets, and Democrat mayors are ordering the police to stand down.
Anarchists are flooding. It's like an election in 1910. It really is amazing.
Being torched by mobs.
How much? Were there really that many riots? Like, I mean,
No,
it happened for a while.
And they were in like pretty small areas. Like Portland, it was like one block. In Portland, it was one fucking block. And then they sent the feds there.
Violence in your country, in your communities, and in your homes.
They also blame some of the initial corona outbreaks on Black Lives Matter protests as well.
I think I think it would be wrong to say that people being out and mixing did not increase it. Of course it did. Absolutely, but it's not like there was going to be a way to stop them. Are you just going to have police go and like mow everybody down? Like what would you do to? You can't arrest them all.
Because no matter what the Democrats say,
kill them all. Yeah, that's probably what they were trying to figure out how to do.
It definitely increased it. So did all the other. So did the anti-masker people going out and marching.
Everything starts with safety and security. You can't have anything else without it. You can't focus on building a better future for your children without the peace
Being
of mind
outside, I think,
that
does
they can
help.
study
But I mean,
safely
I
in
think it
their
would be silly to say that
play safely in their neighborhoods,
it's impossible
and
to get it
sleep
when you're
safely in their
outside.
beds.
But basically, the response that I'm talking about is once the curve started going up again, from like Florida and places that didn't give a shit, the blame from the right was it's because of Black Lives Matter.
Oh yeah, which was hilarious because it happened. It started happening from spring break people, so it was already going way up before the protests really had gotten full swing.
Education access, the civil rights issue,
or it happened like a week after, and it's like, well, that's way too quick for people to start dying or being even hospitalized. Like it was definitely because spring break happened right before.
Just because of their zip code.
And everybody went to Florida, and everybody went to beaches in California.
Democrats really wanted to help minorities and underserved communities. Instead
of totally worth it. The drinks were great.
Hell yeah, bruh.
They'd let parents
My dad owned the
choose what
dealership.
school is best for their kids. They'd limit immigration to protect American workers.
And they're giving him a long-ass speech. If I was Hunter Biden, I'd feel gypped.
They'd learn how to negotiate trade deals that prioritize America's
His arms are probably so tired.
Oh, swinging them around like an Italian man?
And quit sending our young people to solve problems in foreign lands.
Like the clipping stream can't even like keep up with the arms.
I almost want to go back to the NBC thing because it was better quality video without clipping.
In other words,
their cameras were doing a better job than the RNC.
Men and women of our country, they'd do exactly what President Trump is doing. America is the greatest country on earth, but my father's entire worldview revolves around the idea that we can always
that America can be the greatest country in space.
Imagine the life you want to have. One with a great job, a beautiful home, a perfect family.
Biden doesn't even want us to compete with Mars.
Imagine the country you want to live in. One with true equal opportunity. where hard work pays off and
True
justice is
equal
served with
opportunity.
compassion and without
All the
partiality.
whites.
You can have it. Imagine a world where the evils of communism and radicalism
Partiality.
are not given a chance to spread. The heroes are celebrated and the good guys win. You can have it. That is the life. That is the country. That is the world that Donald Trump and the Republican Party are after. And yes, you can have it. Because unlike Joe Biden and the radical left Democrats, our party is open to everyone. It starts by rejecting radicals who want to drag us into the dark and embracing the man who represents a bright and beautiful
We
future
accept
for
everybody who kneels before
it starts
Trump.
by re-electing Donald J. Trump, President of the United
It's
States.
a big tent.
Thank
A lot
you,
of people want to
and
kneel.
God bless America.
Good wave, not awkward.
Not a big wet boy.
I'm
Don't
Catalina
worry.
Lauf. I work in the political space.
And I'm Madeline Lau,
Oh.
and I'm the founder of Begin Health, a children's
Hello.
Somebody's
nutritional
trying to win the ALF vote.
We grew up in a really small town outside of Chicago.
I'm definitely gonna vote.
Guatemala. Our dad's small
I'm
business
no
owner
longer
from
abstaining.
Chicago, and
That's
so
for
we
sure.
brought two different cultures together to create us. A little bit of crazy and
A little bit of fun, I guess.
Oh, they're fun.
And crazy.
Woohoo!
Of hard work, liberty,
Weird.
to love this country unapologetically. Our dad is a
They don't even
beekeeper,
apologize
just
for loving the country.
so many different things out in the
A
country.
lot of people are like, I love America, I'm sorry.
selling honey at farmers market.
The radical
So
left
my
doesn't
line
love
was,
America.
have you ever been stung by a bee?
But are they sorry about it?
But really,
They're
it was
probably
teaching
not.
us
Oh
They're
my
trying to
God.
give health care to poor people like assholes.
Are poor people even Americans? It's the jury's still out.
If you want the American dream, and you're white enough, and you're rich enough, you can have it.
Yeah, it's that simple.
In poverty.
Very mobile.
And coming here to the United States, being
I don't know
able
if it's
to fulfill her
downwardly or
destiny
upwardly,
and
but it's
be
mobile,
somebody
people.
that she couldn't.
We're
here in
mobile.
her home country.
And they really instilled in us the sense of
Up is down in
purpose,
some
but
countries,
also,
anyway.
self-accountability, and that we had to strive to do the things that we wanted, and it was up to us to make those things happen.
In America, there's no ceiling of opportunity. You define your own destiny. Your
Ah.
personal responsibility.
In America,
through
just
hard work.
decide if you want to
We
be a
have
millionaire.
moral value system. That's the American dream, and President Trump's providing that for everybody.
Look at my business, Begin Health. As a small startup that is growing and launching, we are constantly trying to innovate, and the challenge that we just didn't see coming was that just almost everything kind of just shut down. And when you are a small startup and you have limited funding, and the funding is really only to kind of get you to that next milestone, we were really struggling, and so we were able to apply for a PPP loan, which really helped allow us to continue hiring and working and developing our products so that we could ultimately still launch.
It's never ever so important to have a president and an administration that understands that small business is the backbone of our economy. Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was huge. Manufacturing, deregulation, fair trade. These are things that affected real Americans. We have a champion in the Oval Office who has this business background. He actually understands the need for small businesses like my sisters to survive. We aren't the stereotypical conservative. I mean, we come from Hispanic descent, and we're millennial women, and that's not what the media
Millennial
wants.
women. Am I right?
And so somebody like AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
What's their business?
or left, these women come
I
out
don't
with
know.
these
Yeah, I'm
very,
not sure.
very
Influencers?
destructive
I think so.
political
It seemed like they were like
ideologies that are
Instagrammers.
trying to infiltrate millennials and the next generation. I decided to step up and say, well, we need a counter voice to these women.
There has been an assault on capitalism, just generally. And I think it's very scary to imagine a Biden world where the progressive wing ideas are starting to take front and center stage. That will really choke the American economy. There will be over-regulation, over-taxation. It's very hard to innovate through those two things. And ultimately, what's really sad is the thought of making all of us dependent on the government, and we are not.
The thought of the government helping people? I mean, like, no bueno.
Like, is that the idea? Like, are they just calling any helping poor people out in any way socialism, and that's what's going to destroy America?
It's an assault on capitalism, for sure.
Freedom is at stake now, and this is going to be the most important election of our lifetime.
You can't survive without assistance from the government? Well, I guess, the free market.
Having a thriving economy that is keeping America great, and President Trump has delivered on that promise.
Invisible hand.
He's truly fighting for the American people. We're the greatest country in the world, period. On our worst day, we're still the greatest country in the world.
On our worst day, we're still the greatest country in the world.
By putting America first, having a thriving economy, having happiness.
Good evening. I'm Senator Tim Scott from the great state of South Carolina. To all of you tuning in and participating in the political process, bless you. This isn't how I picture tonight, but our country is experiencing something none of us envisioned. From a global pandemic to the deaths
we got my boy Tim Scott.
2020 has tested our nation in ways we haven't seen for decades. But regardless of the challenges presented to us, every 4 years, Americans come together to share stories of what makes our nation strong and the lessons we have learned that can strengthen it for further generations. Because while this election is between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, it is not solely about Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It's about the promise of America. It's about you and me, our challenges and heartbreaks, hopes and dreams. It's about how we respond when tackling critical issues like police reform, when Democrats called our work a token effort and walked out of the room during negotiations because they wanted the issue more than they wanted a solution. Do we want a society that breeds success or a culture that cancels everything it even slightly disagrees with? I know where I stand because, you see, I am living my mother's American dream. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old, and we moved in with my grandparents into a 2-bedroom home with me, my mom, and my brother sharing a room and one bed. My mom worked 16 hours a day to keep food on the table and a roof over our heads. She knew that if we could find the opportunity, bigger things would come. I thought I had to use football to succeed in life, and my focus on academics faded away. My freshman year, I failed out. I failed 4 subjects: Spanish, English, world geography, and even civics. Trust me though, after 7 years in the Senate, I know I'm not the only one in Congress who failed civics. But even while I was failing the 9th grade, my mother always said to me, "Timmy, if you would just shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll be among the stars." She never lost faith in me, even when I lost faith. Because of her encouragement, I went to summer school in college. The next year, I met my mentor, John Manise, a Chick-fil-A operator. John saw something in me that I could not see in myself and started teaching me valuable life lessons. Like having a job would be a good thing, but creating jobs would be even better. And having an income would change my lifestyle, but creating a profit would change my community. He planted the seeds of what would become opportunity zones. This initiative that the president and I work together on is now bringing more than $75 billion of private sector investment into distressed communities.
Wait, is she looking at me?
I took those lessons to heart and started putting the pieces of my life back together. I realized a quality education is the closest thing to magic in America. That's why I fight to this day for school choice, to make sure every child in every neighborhood has a quality education. I don't care if it's a public, private, charter, virtual, or a homeschool. When a parent has a choice, their kid has a better chance. And the president has fought alongside me on that. Later in life, I started my own small business. That's why I know it is critical for us to have a tax code that encourages growth. We actually saw revenues to the Treasury increase after we lowered taxes in 2017. Rest assured, the Democrats do not want you to know that. After starting my small business and spending some time in local government, I decided to run for Congress in 2010. The district is based in Charleston, South Carolina, where the Civil War started, against a son of our legendary Senator, Strom Thurmond. You may be asking yourself, how does a poor black kid from a single-parent household run and win in a race crowded with Republicans against a Thurmond? Because of the evolution of the Southern Heart. In an overwhelmingly white district, the voters judged me not on the color of my skin, but on the content of my character. We live in a world that only wants you to believe in the bad news, racially, economically, and culturally polarizing news. The truth is, our nation's arc always bends back towards fairness. We are not fully where we want to be, but I thank God Almighty, we are not where we used to be. We are always striving to be better. When we stumble, and we will, we pick ourselves back up and try again. We don't give in to cancel culture or the radical and factually baseless belief that things are worse today than in the 1860s or the 1960s.
Things are awesome.
We have work to do, but I believe in the goodness.
This guy doesn't want to cancel racism either.
The promise that
it's been worse before.
Yeah,
so
racism has got us through a lot of boring times.
I'm betting you do too.
Do you want to turn your back on racism after all it's done for us?
Towards that promise. President Trump built the most inclusive economy.
And capitalism is not going to work without racism, so let's just get over it.
And 2/3 of them went to women, African Americans, and Hispanics. The first new major effort to tackle poverty in a generation. Opportunity zones. We put hard-earned tax dollars back in people's pockets by cutting their taxes, especially for single-parent households like the one I grew up in, cutting single mothers' taxes 70% on average. President Trump supported these tax cuts for those single moms and other working families and signed these policies into law. And our nation is better off for it. So, I'm going to ask you, the American people, not to simply look at what the candidates say, but to look back at what they've done. This election is about your future, and it is critical to paint a full picture of the records of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden said if a black man didn't vote for him, he wasn't truly black. Joe Biden said black people are a monolithic community. It was Joe Biden who said poor kids can be just as smart as white kids. And while his words are one thing, his actions take it to a whole new level. In 1994, Biden led the charge of a crime bill that put millions of black Americans behind bars. President Trump's criminal justice reform law fixed many of the disparities Biden created and made our system more fair and just for all Americans. Joe Biden also failed our nation's historically black colleges and universities, heaping blame on them as they fought to ensure our young folks had access to higher education. Once again, to clean up Joe Biden's mess, President Trump signed into law historically high funding for HBCUs, as well as a bill to give them permanent funding for the first time ever. And now Joe Biden wants to come for your pocketbooks. Unless, of course, you're a blue state millionaire. I'm serious. That's one of their solutions for the pandemic. They want to take more money from your pocket and give it to Manhattan elites and Hollywood moguls so they get a tax break. Republicans, however,
where'd that idea come from?
President Trump's once
What,
in a
Hollywood
generation
moguls?
tax reform bill that lowered taxes for single moms, working families,
I'm
and those
serious.
in need.
They want to murder
So when
puppies
it comes to
and
what
take the guts
Joe
and give it to
Biden
you.
says he'll do, look at his action. And what he didn't do while he's been in Washington for 47 years.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, people don't always see those failures because they think we're having a policy debate on two sides of an issue. That is not what is happening. Our side is working on policy, while
Tim,
Joe
stop
Biden's
farting.
radical Democrats are trying to permanently transform
Tim.
what it means to be an American. Make no mistake, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris want a cultural revolution, a fundamentally different America. If we let them, they will turn our country into a socialist utopia. And history has taught us that path only leads to pain and misery.
They'll turn America into a perfect society. And if I know history, perfect societies
Instead,
suck balls.
we must focus on the promise of the
They're the
American
worst
journey.
thing I've ever
I know
seen.
that
They
journey
smell.
well. My grandfather.
They smell like farts.
They
which
smell like
I
farts.
know wasn't me.
Why am I farting?
Growing up, he had to cross the street.
It's
By the way,
because
these
of
farts are not
utopias.
me.
Was coming.
They're Joe
He
Biden's.
suffered
Utopia's
the
great for fart.
indignity of being forced out of school as a third grader to pick cotton.
Atlas farted.
He never learned to read or write. Yet, he lived long enough to see his grandson become the first African American to be elected to both the United States House and the United States Senate in the history of this country. Our family went from cotton to permanence. And that's why I believe the next American century can be better than the last. There are millions of families just like mine all across this nation, full of potential, seeking to live the American dream.
Brandon, I love
And
that
I'm here
follow
tonight
emote
to
or
tell
whatever.
you that supporting the Republican ticket gives you the
egg
best
one?
chance of
Yeah.
making that dream
Hell yeah.
a reality. God bless you. And Father, please continue blessing the United States
Father,
of America.
please
God bless.
take your ulcer medicine. Oh, he's talking about God. I thought he was talking to his own father. So hold on. Was that the end of the night then? You're ending with Tim Scott? They didn't even end with his son? His fail son failed again? They ended
Well,
with that dude that nobody
To
knows?
be fair, the son's speech was really bad.
Yeah, I
And
feel like he
didn't
burped.
know how to speak
I think
either.
it looked like he burped up a little bit, and I saw his like MDMA on his lip.
He kept trying to punch the podium.
Yeah. Real fucking idiot is I think the term.
I started smelling bad as soon as he got out there.
Yeah. I think that was the end of it. Doesn't sound like they're talking about anything else coming up. They didn't go right to an MC. This is a real fucking mess.
I'm inspired.
I mean, yeah, it was basically just let's show a bunch of different angles of Trump talking to people, not really getting anything done. Alright, well, it's over. And I think I'm done playing then, too. Thank you all for joining the stream of the RNC. I'll be back tomorrow night
Hell yeah.
to wet my whistle for
Now
freedom.
let's go find those influencers. Give 'em
Yeah,
some
let's
likes.
find those cool, really cool, smart, funny, with their personality influencers. Only in America can you be an immigrant talking shit about how immigrants suck. And I love that about this country. That's my favorite
Listen.
thing, actually.
I have risen above the racism, so the rest deserve to suffer. As long as I'm okay.
Yeah.
Fuck You all.
I don't like them bringing all their weird hocus pocus sort of religious things they believe in, and also all their children are made with demon sperm,
is now
and I don't have enough chicken eggs to ward off the demons. So there's that, and they have weird.
We've all been there, haven't we, folks?
And they have weird traditions, but also demon sperm. They had a woman just say like, "This is the end of the night," on the stream.
But people still want to see their names. You can't end it now.
Yeah, I'm still getting a pretty good like epileptic seizure from watching it, so I'm liking it. You know, like when you get a seizure, but it it feels good. I'm having that right now. My eyeballs are on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
All right, good night.
Oh my god. But tomorrow night will be fun. I don't even know who's speaking. I don't think they even know. Probably Bill Clinton will speak. That would be cool. All right, Alf. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Peace stream.